Today is Tuesday, November 5th, 2024, and this is Sliced. Letters of Authorization. Last week, we published an in-depth hour-take essay, Grounded or Soaring: The Future of CORSIA and Meeting Aviation's Climate Goals, on the Carbon Offsetting and Reduction Scheme for International Aviation, or CORSIA. The paper examined the mechanics of CORSIA and its broader impact on the voluntary carbon market, as well as its role in helping the aviation industry achieve its carbon reduction goals. Here's a quick recap. CORSIA, a carbon offsetting scheme developed by the International Civil Aviation Organization, aims to cap emissions from international aviation at 2019 levels by requiring airlines to offset emissions growth through verified carbon credits. Implemented in 3 phases, CORSIA began with voluntary participation starting in 2021 and running until 2026, and will become mandatory in 2027 for nations with substantial aviation activity, exempting certain developing countries. Airlines must offset emissions exceeding 85% of their 2019 baseline using eligible emissions units, or EEUs, that meet ICAO's strict standards. One of the key concerns with the CORSIA mechanism is the lack of supply of carbon credits to adequately fulfill the demand from participating nations and their respective airlines. IATA and Allied Offsets estimate that potential demand for carbon credits in 2024 and 2025 could range between 17 and 18 million annually. Abatable predicts that carbon credit demand will surpass 100 million in 2027. As of last week, 4 new carbon credit standards officially made the cut to supply credits to CORSIA, bringing the total up to 6. But if you think that that's the full green light and the supply problem is solved, think again, because there's an extremely important detail. For any carbon credit from one of the approved standards to actually qualify as an EEU, the project behind it must first secure a letter of authorization. So while getting CORSIA approval is a good start, it's far from the finish line. A letter of authorization, or LOA, is an official document issued by a carbon credit project's host country that authorizes the transfer of emission reduction units to another country with a commitment to make a corresponding adjustment, or CA. The corresponding adjustment is a mechanism to prevent double counting in carbon accounting. Double counting would occur if both the host country of a carbon credit project and the purchasing entity, such as an airline or a country, claim the same emissions reduction or removal. To prevent this, the corresponding adjustment adjusts the host country's carbon balance so that only the buyer can count the reduction toward its climate target. As a result, both countries can accurately track progress towards their nationally determined contributions under the Paris Agreement, maintaining transparency and integrity in emissions reporting. The letter of authorization requirement has significantly impacted the carbon market by limiting the number of eligible credits and tightening the supply. As of early 2024, only 7.1 million credits from Guyana meet all letter of authorization requirements for CORSIA. With the recent addition of the 4 newly approved carbon credit standards, B0 reported an extra 6 million eligible credits, bringing the total to just over 13 million. However, given demand projections of up to 100 million credits annually by 2027, this limited supply highlights the urgency for more countries to issue letters of authorization efficiently if the market hopes to meet CORSIA's growing requirements. Although the introduction of a letter of authorization is necessary for certifying that carbon credits used within CORSIA meet the transparency and accountability standards outlined in the Paris Agreement, obtaining a letter of authorization is a complex process with significant challenges. A clear, standardized pathway for projects to secure a letter of authorization does not yet exist. Questions abound. Which country ministry oversees letters of authorization? Is there an official process, designated contract, or standardized documentation? This lack of clarity slows down progress as key infrastructure, such as registries and bureaucratic systems, remain underdeveloped, affecting the efficiency and transparency of the market. Host countries must formally commit to a corresponding adjustment for their emissions to balance when granting a letter of authorization, yet these adjustments are recorded only every 2 years. This gap opens the door for potential delays, reversals, or revocations, making letters of authorization a less secure basis for carbon credit contracts. This has raised concerns about contract stability, leading for calls to develop insurance products to safeguard against risks like revocation and double counting. Due to these complexities, there is mounting pressure on countries to create robust systems for issuing letters of authorizations efficiently. Letter of authorization templates, such as the one drafted by Gold Standard, have emerged to provide guidance, but significant capacity building efforts are still needed. For CORSIA to succeed, and by extension for the aviation sector to meet its climate commitments, countries must dedicate resources to streamline the letter of authorization process, build essential infrastructure, and foster transparent market mechanisms. Market participants need to increase investments in time and resources to collaborate with host countries to develop a streamlined letter of authorization process. This is paramount for CORSIA to meet the growing demand for compliant carbon credits and maintain market stability.